They don't want to burn that rubber off those wet tyres.
Yes, good point. So Zanardi perhaps already thinking about that, protecting the tyres and making them last all the way to the first stop. Meanwhile, Franchitti not able to close the gap up to Mark Blundell. The two British drivers doing a fantastic job here at Road America, this most European of circuits in many ways, and many of them have likened it to the Spa circuit particularly. But it's just amazing to see how well the two British drivers are going. Blundell on his second appearance here at Road America, Dario Franchitti on his first appearance, and still doing a superb job. There you can see down in the back west pits, though, the slick tyres are being made ready. As we mentioned, they talked about that on the radio already. And even down there at Canada Corner, you can see the line itself is beginning to dry out, and as they climb up the hill under the bridge.
There was Mark Blundell running wide purposefully onto that wetter part of the track, just to try and keep the temperature down a bit on these tyres. Smart move by Mark Blundell, and certainly this track is really drying out, and I'm sure some of them would love to take the chance and come in for some slicks, but I think it's a heck of a gamble. They need to be able to try and make this race on 2 pit stops as they possibly can.
Now, of course, if the Goodyear tyre lasts better, that might give them a better chance, people like Andretti and De Ferran, but we'll just have to see, as at the moment Blundell is our race leader. There is Mark Blundell out in front by 1.7 seconds at the end of the last lap, and a bigger gap back to Maurizio Gugelmin now, and the track really is beginning to dry out, because we're now seeing quite big chunks of time coming off the lap time each time they come around. 2 seconds they gained. They're now into the 2:08 bracket around this 4-mile track, so it really is beginning to dry out. But as we mentioned before, it can be very dry in parts of the circuit and still very damp and very slippery on other parts. Andre Ribeiro there, you just saw the back shot of the Brazilian, who's up into 11th place and pushing very hard indeed, trying to close up that bit more to Raul Boesel. And this little battle has remained pretty much constant throughout the race so far. Scott Pruitt still doing a great job of keeping Greg Moore behind him, and then right behind him is Raul Boesel, and as we mentioned, Andre Ribeiro closing up as well. On board now with Michael Andretti again.
Hurry down into turn 8, and there is Alex Zanardi getting back past Michael Andretti, but he slides wide on the exit. Can Andretti get alongside him? Yes, he can, but he can't make the pass.
Interesting, Zanardi fights his way back up into that 4th position, and suddenly Zanardi has found a new lease of life in the last few laps, and he seems to be pushing that much harder.
I'd say the crew has Mo Nunn, the engineer for Alex Zanardi, has got on the phone, got on the radio to Alex Zanardi and said, "You're okay on fuel, we've got enough to make it on 2 more pit stops. Go flat out, go as fast as you can, try and make up some ground to the leaders." And that's what Alex Zanardi is doing.
Yeah, he's doing a fine job, isn't he? Fighting his way past Michael Andretti, one of the hardest racers, and making a clean job of it as well. No contact between them, though. They came fairly close, and as he climbs the hill now to complete another lap, almost around to turn number 14, Zanardi has moved his way up into 4th position. We'll keep an eye on the gap. The leader's just gone past us. That's Mark Blundell. Franchitti goes past, 2.8 seconds further back. We wait to see Maurizio Gugelmin, and Andretti's into the pits. Michael Andretti is the first man to come into the pits. They can come in very quickly. They get to the bend line, then they have to slow it down. And Michael, the first in, is he going to put slicks on?
I'm sure he is. He wouldn't be in at this stage otherwise. But this is a big gamble by the Newman-Haas team. No question, they will have to make a 3rd pit stop. So Michael will be hoping that he can make up enough time now by going out on his slick tyres to be able to overcome that deficit. Quite a gamble, and the Newman-Haas team certainly has been known to gamble in the past. There goes Michael Andretti. He's a master in these conditions, but it's going to be very, very interesting. He's going to drop well down the order, that's for certain.
Remember, he's on cold slicks. There are no tyre warmers allowed in the championship, so he is on a very cold set of tyres, and it's going to be very difficult for him to get some grip. Now watch Zanardi. This was the replay of the pass when Alex Zanardi retook 4th. Brave pass from Alex Zanardi. Very nearly ran out of road on the exit, but a little bit like the pass in Laguna Seca on Brian Herter last year. Just enough. He managed to stay on a bit better here than in California, but a good, brave manoeuvre from Zanardi. The question is, what everybody will be looking at is, how fast can Michael Andretti go now he's put slick tyres on? The lap times will be analysed by every team in the pit lane. Oh, and we've just heard he's picked up a pit lane violation. He's been too fast in the pits. 75 miles an hour he's been radar trapped at. He's only allowed to do 60, and Andretti could just have thrown away his opportunity in this race. Can you believe it? Michael Andretti has made a mess of it in the pits. He went too fast.
That's amazing. Now, all of these cars have a button, a rev limiter on the engine that is set to whatever the pit lane speed limit is. In this case, as you say, 60 miles an hour. But the button only works if you press it.
Well, I don't know whether Michael forgot to press it or whether he pressed it too late. As I mentioned, they can come steaming up that pit road entry, and they really do come up there quickly. It may have been just too late slowing the car down when he went over the line, maybe a bit late onto the brakes. So we'll just have to see what happens there. But Michael Andretti will perhaps lose any advantage he may have gained from being the first onto slicks. I wonder if anybody else will take the same decision in the next few laps. Meanwhile, up front it's still Blundell from Franchitti and Gugelmin. Zanardi in fourth place. Zanardi's only... Oh, and Andretti's lost it. And coming into Canada corner, Michael's lost it on the slicks. It all makes the penalty a bit irrelevant now, doesn't it? Because Michael has just become victim of the wet conditions down there. And Mario watches the monitor. The three-time winner here, as indeed is Michael, but it's not going to be number 4 today. Michael has thrown away any opportunity to take the win. And, well, he might well have been distracted by the news that he had to come into the pits, but at the end of the day, a basic mistake in the slippery conditions.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a full course caution here just to add to his woes, but he's well stuck in that gravel. They're not going to get him out of there too quickly, I don't think. There is a crane in that corner. Looks like they're hooking up a rope there to get that car lifted out of the way. Because maybe we will get through without a caution. I know. Looking up at the stand here, there is Jim Swintel actually in front of us waving the double yellow flags.
Yeah, so that's a disappointing sign in a way. We've got a full course yellow. Replay of Michael's spin here on the... You could see the wet on the tyres, in fact, and it just got away from him under braking. You can bet that he was already braking pretty gently coming into that corner. He knew the situation on slicks, that it was going to be difficult. That was always going to be the hard part of the circuit, and he'd managed to build up a bit of the heat in the tyres by then. Let's watch it. Yeah, nothing he could do about it. Back end got away, and that was all she wrote, straight off into the gravel trap. So we have a full course yellow, 14 laps in the books, and the pit crews are getting ready for a very busy time.
Yeah, they'll have to make pit stops now. It's earlier than it's too soon. They didn't want to have to make them this early, but for sure they will all come into the pits, and they will all take on fresh tyres, slick tyres, and of course a full load of methanol. And there's Michael Andretti sitting in the car as they drag that car out of the way. Poor Michael Andretti, he'll be absolutely disappointed and angry with himself. That was a clear mistake by Michael Andretti. He knew it was slick under there. He'd been out through that corner several times before on the wet tyres, of course, so he knew exactly how slippery it was. But not even someone with Michael's car control was able to hang on to that car.
Now, Mark's got to be a bit careful pulling out here as Gugelmin comes in. Dario Franchitti also into the pits, and he is now pushed out of the pit lane. And it looks as though that was a reasonably clean stop for Franchitti, who slots in right behind Blundell. And, of course, he can't overtake in the pit lane right there, and they're both on the speed limiter anyway. And as they come back out onto the circuit, of course, they're still under yellows, so he can't nip past Mark Blundell here. But a good pit stop. Oh no, Dario's lost it! Dario's going to be in the wall! He's lost it! Oh, I can't believe it! What has he done on cold tyres? Just getting it on the power as he accelerated. Dario Franchitti has thrown away his chance now, and he will be absolutely fuming in there. What a great opportunity he had this afternoon, and that was just a mistake. The cold tyres catching him out, even under yellow flag conditions. Just take another look at this. He was right behind Blundell as they came out of the corner, and it was really just, he got on the power here, and it was just one of those crazy incidents. He just didn't quite catch it in time, and the concrete wall was there to catch him. Dario Franchitti out of the Texaco Havoline 200, and Carl Hogan cannot believe his eyes.
No, Carl won't be very happy there. There's a clear rookie mistake. You know, unlike in Formula 1, of course, where they have heated tyres that go onto the cars during pit stop, no tyre warmers in the kart series. And stone cold tyres, slippery track, getting on the power, 800 horsepower in these conditions is awfully difficult to handle, even by the best of them. And Dario Franchitti certainly will be one of the best of them. He's been a brilliant form this season, but certainly a mistake from Dario Franchitti. There is his car by the side of the track, and he will play no further part in these proceedings.
Up the hill comes Mark Blundell as the restart gets underway, and Gugelmin's very slow away. Zanardi's got past him straight off there. Now that's interesting, and a few cars getting themselves into a bit of a mess. Gugelmin now heads the next group of cars down into turn number 1. Ribeiro's down the inside. Oh, Ribeiro, has he made it too fast? I think he's just about managed to squeeze through. Oh no, he ran wide. Oh, and we've got 2 other cars off down there. 36 off down there, so...
and Matsushita, I think, as well. And
yeah.
Matsushita looks to be... There's Ribeiro losing more positions there. He got off the road again, it looks like, at the exit of turn 3. So he's undone all the good work he'd done over the previous 100 yards or so.
So Blundell needs from Zanardi, Gugelmin back to 3rd to Ferran, then Pruitt, and look at where Fittipaldi is now. He's moved right up the order, and we've got the news that we're going to go full course yellow once again. Dear oh dear, this is not proving to be a very successful part to the race, as more incidents slowing everybody down. Zanardi on board with him in 2nd position, chasing after Mark Blundell. He'll be getting a bit frustrated with this. He wants to get out there and do some racing, but oh, look at that, right rear corner completely off Matsushita's car there. Fangio was the other car involved on that part of the circuit, and difficult to see. They presumably came together before they got racing again.
Yeah, absolutely, but I would hazard a guess and say that was really all caused by Mauricio Gugelmin, because he made a very poor restart, and we could see a huge concertina of cars, including Ribeiro there and Moore and the 2 Brahma cars and Christian Fittipaldi. I mean, they were all packed together as they flew past us, and it was just everybody was packed up behind them. So I think a bit of a concertina movement there all the way back down the field. The pace car waves past PJ Jones. He'll be able to go around and join up the tail end of the field to get ready for this restart.
So Jones makes it round, but it's all been a bit messy with these yellow flag periods, and still Blundell leads. We've completed 20 laps now. The overhead view going down into Canada corner. That's this part of the corner where Michael Andretti had his problem. Matsushita running away. That ends a bit of a run for him. He's actually had a few finishes recently, Jeremy, the Japanese driver, so that's a little bit of a disappointing end to that run for him.
Yeah, in actual fact, he's finished every single race since he took over the 97 equipment, the RV8B engine from Toyota. There's some of the local inhabitants having a good close look at the action here. Little chipmunk out in the woods. Yeah, that's the first DNF actually for Hiro Matsushita since he took over that equipment, and it'd be a disappointment for him.
So let's we just heard on the radio that Gilles de Ferran reporting back to his pits that Maurizio Gugelmin was asleep on the restart. Well, I think that's fairly clear from the way he got away up that hill. I mean, I'd love to see a replay of that, because we didn't quite see what happened at the bottom end of the hill, but Maurizio was very, very slow. Max Papis is into the pits, and they're putting fuel on board. And I wonder what's going on there. They just seem to be putting fuel in.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they're going to have to make a splash and go at some stage in any case. They know that. They're at the tail of the field. They might as well make it now. He should be able to go the rest of the distance from here. Probably he and Jones and Herter are the only 3 possibly that are going to be able to make it to the end with just 1 more pit stop.
So interesting tactics from Max Papis, still looking to be the top of the Toyota-powered cars at the finish of the race. Quite a good inter-Toyota battle between Fangio, Papis and PJ Jones. And they're sort of in the 2nd league, I suppose, at the moment. But Toyota still are putting a lot of effort in. And it's interesting, I was talking to one of the engineers, they're actually bringing in quite a lot of engine specialists from the UK now to join in that Toyota program. There's a lot of money being put into the project, and Toyota are not going to sit back and see Mercedes and Honda and Ford disappear with winning all the races in this championship. They are very serious, and they're putting in a lot of effort for next year.
Very true. John Faver, who's been with the Penske team for a lot of years, an absolute wizard on the electronics, has recently left the team, and he's just showed up in a Toyota uniform. And that's a shrewd move by the Toyota management there. Pete Spence, who's been with Ford Cosworth in the past, he's there, another British engineer, and a lot of effort going into that program, as you say, and taking on people of the caliber of Spence and Faver shows they're serious about making this program, getting it right up to speed as quickly as they can.
Well, let's hope so. It would be great to have a 4th engine manufacturer doing a fine job as well. I think we got a little view of Dario Franchitti in there. It looked as though it was him. I couldn't really tell from that angle. Into the pits again, PJ Jones. So it's as though there's more problems for him. Unless they're putting some fuel in, but there's right rear corners off the car, so there's It's obviously something fairly seriously wrong. Just coming back to the engines for a moment, by the way, there is a manufacturers' championship in the kart series, and Mercedes-Benz are leading that at the moment. They've got 241 points. Honda are lying second in the championship, although their driver, Alex Zanardi's leading the table. They're lying second in the manufacturers' championship on 214 points, and Ford are running third with 191 points, and poor old Toyota, they really are in a different division. They're fourth, but only 8